Hello, everybody. It's Marcus from PageProof here for another PageProof Academy. So today we are deep diving into the team administrators menu, basically, to go through all the options that are available for team administrators inside of PageProof. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into PageProof, we're going to look at that team admin menu, and let's get started. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so you're a team administrator. Now, what that means is that you're able to see an extra menu in your PageProof menu, which is at the top right of the screen. So you go to your avatar and you click, and you'll see amongst all of the options that you've got available here, a menu that says team. This is where you go and you're able to see the options that are available to you as a team administrator. I will point out one thing. You can have multiple team administrators on a PageProof license. So you can have one, which might be you, but you can go in and add other people as well. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Now, the team menu itself is broken into three areas. So the first area, these are the ones that you're probably going to go to most often, just team members and the team dashboard. Then we have areas where you can set up proof templates, you can set up workflow templates and checklist templates for your team and look to see what you've got available there. And then the last section we'll cover, this is more about the settings on your account and all the things that you can do with that, so integrations, branding, and those sorts of things that you can change on your actual PageProof account itself for your team. So the first one up here, team members. Team members, this is where you can go in and see the people that belong to your team. So this area is a list of everybody who's in your team. Now, I must define who's in your team. What does that mean? Someone who's in your team is somebody who can send proofs, and those proofs will be sent from your account and they belong inside of your account. So typically you will find that team members should not be your customers, should not be others in the business who don't participate in uploading proofs. They just leave you feedback. Team members are people who are going to be uploading work into PageProof into your team. All right. So if you want to invite somebody in, you click on invite team, and then you can put in the email address here, and that can be comma separated, by the way, if you need to do multiple, and it'll send out the invitation to people. They can then log in and accept the invitation to your team. So that is how you get people into your team. Now, something else to note here, you've got over on the left-hand side at the top, this little menu, and this shows you different areas. So this is actually broken up into different areas. So if you want to see people who are deactivated, you can go and do that. And of course, if you ever need to get a list of everybody in your team or whatever you're seeing in front of you, you can just click the little icon here to download the CSV, which you can open in Excel to look at your team members. Now, another thing to point, you can go in here, and if you need to change anything, you can just click and write in a name if you want to do that, or you can click in over here and you can do more of the editing that you want for that particular person. So just some areas of the team that you can cover with the team members area. So these are people who belong to your team, and we'll talk about why this is relevant a little bit later on. I'll refer back to the team a little bit later on as well. Now, the team dashboard, this is where you can see all the proofs inside your team, regardless of ownership. Okay, so you'll notice that this dashboard, and we don't recommend you use this dashboard as your main dashboard. You should go here when, examples like when somebody is away and you'd like to get access to their proof, or somebody has moved into a different department in the organization, and you want to be able to get access to their proof. So you can do that from the team dashboard. You can come into here, you can click on the info icon, and you're able to add yourself or others as the proof owner. So you've got that ability inside the team dashboard. So that's seeing all the proofs across your team. There are also bulk actions here as well. So you can perform bulk actions in this team dashboard across a range of proofs if you want to do that. So you can explore that if you need to. You can go through and you're able to add collections into here. So you can roll down the collections. You can add a collection in here and switch on the switch, which is share with my team. So this lets you create collections that your team can see and use inside their dashboard. So that is the PageProof team dashboard. So as I said, that first section at the top, this is where you'll spend probably most of your time for the team menu, I should say. Okay, next section, proof templates, workflows, and checklists. So this is where you can go in and define templates. So in this case, I've gone into proof templates. You can see here, these are the proof templates that the team is able to use when they are creating proofs. Now, a proof template, probably good to know exactly what a proof template is. Well, this lets you set up the settings for everything on the proof setup screen. So you can default a whole lot of things inside of here. So you can set up which collection to use, the tags that you want to use, the workflows, the checklists, all of that can be defined as a proof template. And then on the proof setup screen, there's a menu at the top left where you can just click and just grab hold of a proof template and boom, it sets up the entire of the proof setup screen. So you don't have to do any work. It's really great, it's quick. So this is where you can set up your proof templates. Now, the different licensing levels in PageProof mean that you have different numbers of templates available to you. So if you're on PageProof for Teams, you will get 2 proof templates that you can set up for your team. If you're on PageProof for Teams Plus, 10. So you can have 10 templates. And if you're on PageProof Enterprise, it's unlimited when it comes to your proof templates. So that's the area at which you set up your proof templates. Workflows. Inside of workflows, team workflows is going to show you all of the workflow templates that have been defined by anybody in your team. So you can search for them up the top here. So you can search for a workflow name, or you can search for an email address, and it will give you the results of where that email address exists in your templates. So if you have somebody, again, who might have moved department in your organization and are not in the proofing process anymore, you can put their email address in here. It'll show you all the templates, the workflow templates that they are in and participated in, and you're able to take them out and put their replacement team member inside there. So this is where you can manage the team workflows for your organization. And of course, you can export those results out as a CSV as well if you want to do that. So next place, team checklists. So defining checklists, again, very similar to the proof templates. You can get 2, 10, or unlimited templates depending on the licensing level that you have with PageProof. But these are probably one of the most popular features that we've released for PageProof. So this is where you can go and define a checklist, set of checklist items here, and you can make them required for final approval. And what happens is when a proof loads, the checklist pops up on screen and the reviewers need to go through and check off that they have seen this and they have seen that, etc. There are different ways that you can do these checklist templates, by the way. So a few little things here. You can put the checklist items into groups, and there's a whole lot of things which are really, really great in here for showing checklists to your reviewers on the proofing screen. So this is where you can define the checklist templates for your team to use. Okay, next area. Now we're getting into the settings for your team. First one to take a look at is integrations. So when you go to integrations, it'll show you integrations. It'll show you the ones that are available to install, and then the ones that you have connected. So you can see these are the ones that I have connected into my account. And you've got settings inside of here. So you click on the little cog or gear icon for that particular integration, or you can disconnect the integration from here if you want to as well. So those are some of the integrations that you can set up. And these are native integrations inside of here. These are not going through Make or Zapier or anything like that. These are true native integrations with these tools, and they're really, really, really great. Now, if you do like using things like Zapier, we have got a whole lot of zaps defined here. So if you want to automate things in the way that you want them to work, you can use Zapier. PageProof will send events over to Zapier, These are the ones that we've defined inside of PageProof. You can go and create whatever you like. So when a proof is approved, triggers over to Zapier, and then in Zapier, you can say, do this, do this, do this, do this, up to you. So we've given you that flexibility inside of here. Next one down, webhooks. Now, webhooks are a great feature. These are recently being added to PageProof. Webhooks are very, very similar to Zapier in a lot of ways, but it gives you the ultimate flexibility to connect PageProof to not only tools that you know, but you can also connect them to your internal tools if you want to. So if your internal proprietary system written by your IT team has the ability to consume a webhook, then you can have PageProof send that information over. So when a proof is approved or a to-do list is returned or whatever proof is started, you can define a webhook and you can have that information delivered to that system. So it's really, really powerful. Webhooks are really great. It gives you ultimate flexibility. And I just want to point out, this is where you can also define your connections to make.com. So if you are a make.com fanatic, a lover of make.com, because it lets you automate your life, you can use the webhooks and PageProof to trigger the beginning of a make sequence as well. So we have a help article on how to do that. So you just go to help.pageproof.com, type in make, and we'll show you how to connect PageProof to make, and it lets you go through and automate whatever it is that you like from that point on. So I should also point out webhooks are available, Teams Plus and Enterprise. Next area, branding. This is where you can set up the branding that you would like to be on the PageProof screen and also in the emails that go out from PageProof. So just a couple of things to note here. There are some areas of this which require the advanced branding package, which is available in Enterprise and can be optioned in Teams Plus. But PageProof for Teams, you get the ability to put a header on top of the emails that go out, and you can also change the logo that shows up on the proofing screen. So in the corner here and on the dashboard, for some cases, you can have your logo showing up here. So that's available on the Teams plan and also Teams Plus and Enterprise, so you can customize that. If you do get the advanced branding package, what you can then do is add an email footer, so you can replace the footer that has the PageProof branding on it now. You can remove that and put your own footer on the bottom of your email. And you can also go in and define colors of things. So you can actually now go through and say, well, you know, the buttons inside of our emails, I want them to be, you know, sort of this color. So you can go through and you can do that, and that'll change the color on your email template. So you can go and configure that in any way that you like. So you've got options here for doing those things. You'll also see that you can change the position of where your logo sits, or your banner, if you like, sits on the top of the email. So you can say, hey, it's left justified, right center, and those sorts of things as well. So that is all built into here. So let's go back into here now and take a look at SCIM. Now, we're not going to actually go into the SCIM menu because this is something that's available enterprise only. SCIM is a way of having your single sign-on populate or pre-populate PageProof with users before they need an account on the platform. So SCIM is extremely useful for those scenarios where, hey, there's a whole lot of new people join the organization, they're added to your company directory, and by being added to the company directory, they get automatically added to PageProof. So that is what SCIM does, and this is where you'd manage that inside of your PageProof enterprise account. So it's an enterprise only feature for PageProof. Okay, now we're going to go to the place that probably has the widest range of options, which is simply called settings. So if I go into settings, you'll see that it's broken up into these tabs. So we've got account, intelligence, features, proofs, workflows, and emails. Now, some of the things you'll see in here will be only available on certain plans, and I will point that out, but let's dive in and take a look at what you can do here. So first thing, the account. So you can see the account here, it's showing you the team name. This is the team name that has been defined, and this can be changed by contacting your customer success manager and they're at PageProof, and they're able to change that for you. So they can make that change for you. And of course, it shows you the plan that you have subscribed to inside of PageProof. Next tab across is intelligence. So PageProof Intelligence, you may or may not know, we launched a while back now, and this is bringing in artificial intelligence, machine learning, data predictions, etc., into PageProof. If you want to know more about that, there is a little question mark here that I can hover over. Click onto that. It'll take you to the article about PageProof Intelligence, talking about how we manage data and all the things that we care about when it comes to AI. PageProof Intelligence is off by default. So if you've got any concerns about AI being used in your PageProof, it is off by default. No AI is being used in PageProof until you switch it on. Now, a couple of things here. There are two options here: switching on the master switch of PageProof Intelligence, and then you're able to turn on the features. You can see there's one feature here, which is SmartTags. So that was our launch feature. We're just about to launch another feature, the PageProof Intelligence, which will show up under here. And you can mix and match which of the intelligence features you want on and off in your account. So that is available here. Some of the PageProof Intelligence features will be in Enterprise and also Teams Plus. But PageProof for Teams, you get SmartTags right away. So you can go and switch that on. Next one over is features. This is where you can actually switch on and switch off things that people have access to. So, for example, if you don't want people to see the checklists in the bottom of the proof setup screen because you're not using checklists for some reason, you can actually switch that off completely so it doesn't show up in the proof setup screen. People are not tempted to use it. So you can turn that off. And the same with the webhooks as well. So that webhooks area, you can switch that off as well if that is optioned into your plan. Again, Teams Plus and Enterprise is where webhooks live, but you can turn those off if you don't want them showing to your team. Those are here. And then down the bottom, another feature which is Teams Plus and Enterprise is having your sort of team address book. So if you switch this on, what will happen is that you will now, when you go to an email field and you start typing in the email address, it will start showing all the people that are in your team, which is something that we spoke about earlier on, which is, hey, who are the members of my team? Well, you can now make them available in your address book, available for Teams Plus and included in Enterprise. Proofs. Okay, so these are all the options that are available for proofs, and you can see there are a lot. This is worth your time going through and reading the description and seeing if it's something that would be advantageous to your team. So some really, really good options inside of here. This is all to do with the proofs inside of PageProof. So for example, some good highlights here. So version due dates. By default, I'll switch this on. By default, all new proof versions will use the due date from the previous version. So if you've set a deadline on version 1, and then you upload version 2 and you want the deadline to be the same as the version, the deadline hasn't moved. I know we're going through lots of versions, but the deadline's a hard stop. Then you can switch that on and that will perform that function there. Proof link sharing, switch that on or off. And you can also turn that on by default on all new proofs if you want to. So you can set the defaults of how things work. General comments, you may or may not want those. And then we get into some areas which are part of PageProof Enterprise, and again, can be optioned into Teams Plus, things like private comments. So private comments are a great feature. This is where your team can mark comments as private. So for example, if your team consists of just the design team, and you work inside a corporation or some sort of company, and you just want to have a private conversation on a proof with the other designers, but you don't want the wider people on the proof to see your conversation, and switch on private comments. And then when you add comments, only people in your team, your defined team, will see those comments. The people outside of your team will not see those comments. So it's a really great feature for that. Again, you can switch that on or off if you want to. Now, if I keep on going down through here, some really interesting things that could be really good for you to take a look at. Things like, invisible reviewer comments. You're working in one of those organizations where you're producing, catalog or any sort of social media posts. And you might have, for example, Apple, an iPhone, and a Samsung phone side by side on a catalog. And you add an Apple person and a Samsung person to the proof, and you don't want them seeing each other's comments, you can just switch on invisible reviewer comments and they won't see each other's comments. But you and the team can see everything. So there's just some really cool features in here. Again, Teams Plus and Enterprise available, Teams Plus included on Enterprise. So there you have some of these. So I will encourage you to go through and just check these over and make sure these are things that you've got set on and off in your team. Okay, next one across, workflows. If you are PageProof Enterprise, then you can switch on the view-only reviewer. It just gives you the ability to add people into your workflow, and they are view-only, so they can't comment. So these are observers, so you can add that into your configuration if you want to. And then finally, emails. So how do you want your emails to work? So these are some options in there. So for example, if a team member doesn't have a name in their profile, you can say, hey, just substitute it in for the team name. So that can happen, which is kind of nice. This one here, comment text, quite important. So if you're in an organization which might have some regulation applied and you can't have anything outside of PageProof, any content showing up in emails or things, then you can switch this off. And it means that when you get an email sent to you from PageProof, it doesn't contain any comment text. It contains a link to look at it, but it won't have the actual text inside of that email. So you can switch that on or off if you want to. And of course, the owner adding as well. Now, one thing that you can turn on here, which is the sender email. This is good if you're PageProof Enterprise. You're able to change the sending email address. So PageProof for Teams, unfortunately, you can't do this, but for Enterprise, you can go in, and this might be proofing@mycompany.com. So you can have your own sending email that gives you a good run through of the team administrator options. And so just to recap, team members, people who can belong to your team, remembering that your team is defined as people who can upload content or manage content. Designers, project managers, those people who might be wanting the ability to upload content in your team. Your customers or your wider reviewers should not be in your team. So that's something to note there. Team dashboard, get a global view of all of the proofs inside of your PageProof account and being able to add owners and do bulk actions on those. Proof templates, workflow templates, and checklists. So this is where you can define these templates for your team and also manage those inside of here. And then finally, the area where you're able to go through and set up certain settings for your PageProof license. So this is the team administrator's view. All right, thank you everybody for your time today, and I look forward to another PageProof Academy with you all next month. Have a great day. Bye now.